y'all. I want to talk to you a little bit about living in a van. Now, my videos have not been about that for quite some time because I've lived in an apartment now for almost 7 months. But occasionally, one of y'all will say to me that you are really thinking about living the van life. Now, some of you want to do it just because you want to do it. You want to travel around. You want to see some of our wonderful country. But some of y'all need to do it because of finances. And I needed to do it because of finances. But I also really wanted to do it. So for me, it was a combo thing. But here's what I want to say to y'all. When you're doing your research, and I hope you're doing a lot, just like I did, I want you to go on there and I want you to look at the videos that talk about the not so good part of living in a vehicle. No matter what kind of vehicle it is, there's always problems no matter what type you have. You live in your car, you live in your van, you live in your truck camper, you live in a travel trailer. I mean, you name it, there are problems with all of it. A lot of people make it sound wonderful. And Bob Wells is one of those people. And I'm not saying that it's not wonderful in some ways to all people. And I'm not saying that it's not bad for some people. So I suggest that you not just watch the channels that think it's amazing, it's free, it's wonderful, you have no responsibilities. Y'all, that's just plain bullshit. It's crap. Because that's not true. It is not cheap to live in your van. You have to keep it up. You've got to keep all the systems running and running well. You have to have an emergency fund, which I did not, by the way. There's so many things to consider, y'all. It is not cheap. I'm telling you, you've got your vehicle to upkeep. You've got insurance. You've got modifications. I put a fantastic fan, a house battery, and solar on tank. And I was fortunate enough that my sweetheart friend Jay of A City Nomad did that for me. Not everyone has a friend like that. And not everyone is handy enough to do it yourself. It's more involved than people think. You have to have money. What if you have a flat and your spare is no good? What are you going to do? What if you break down on the side of the highway and you don't have roadside assistance? And you have to pay for a tow truck. What if your alternator goes out? Which mine did at, I believe it was the 2017 RTR, and Jamie replaced it for me. He also did my front brakes. I mean, and it's not stress-free, y'all. You have to figure things out. Like, you got to figure out where can you park if you're urban and not get hassled. Are you going to be afraid? I was never afraid, y'all, but that's just me. New things like that don't bother me. I tried. If it doesn't work out, oh well, I try something different. I was perfectly comfortable whether I was boondocking or I was urban camping. You have to think about those things. Are you going to be afraid? Are you going to be comfortable? If you're afraid, your stress level is going to be so high that no matter how much cheaper that you think it is, and it's not, you'll find out if you ever do it. Now, can you get a cheap van, not have an emergency fund, maybe a couple $100? Some people don't even have that. Can you boondock and save money? Or urban camp and save money? Yes, but you have to be very frugal. There's no fun money for those that live on Social Security. There's no going to the movies, going out to eat, except y'all know I did eat fast food the whole time, except for a few exceptions. You have to go to the laundromat. Maybe you're already having to do that, but you have to go to the laundromat. And I'm telling y'all, you know, mechanics' bills are very expensive. You may not have a mechanic like I had here in Oceanside that I trusted, and I had to go through a terrible guy before I got my good one. When you're out on the road, you're at the mercy of all these strangers. And when you're a woman, it's worse. I'm not saying all of them by any means, y'all, but a lot of them will take advantage of you. So there's so many things to consider. And if you're honest with yourself, it's like making out a budget. When you make out a budget, does everybody put in stamps, envelopes, hairdo dangies? I mean, when you do an honest to goodness budget, you dig deep and you put everything in that budget. And when you do that, it can get scary. So what I have to say really about the whole thing, I did it. I loved it. There was very little that I did not like. I did not like not having a good emergency fund. This channel was such a blessing to me in those times, but not everybody has a YouTube channel that is so supportive and so loving. They saved my butt more than once. So y'all, it's not romantic. It's not all big adventures. I mean, look at the folks now. Carolyn and their community that they have, they are wandering from one BLM land spot to the other in the desert. Now, they love it. I personally am not a desert person. So you have to think about that. You have to live way down south in order to be halfway comfortable and not freeze to death in the wintertime. You need to start out with as good a vehicle as possible. And I definitely say it is so worth paying a mechanic to do a thorough inspection of any vehicle that you may have in mind before you buy it. Now, I didn't do that, y'all. I found Tank on Craigslist, and I bought him from a really older gentleman, and it was a one-owner rig, and he had every piece of paperwork on that van. He had all the factory paperwork. If you look at my old videos, I show some of that. I mean, everything. And I was very fortunate. But he was in 1989, and there were things along the way that had to be fixed. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap. New shocks are not cheap. New ball joints are definitely not cheap. Ask Irene Van Ventures. She had a terrible thing with her ball joints, and she almost had a horrible accident. So y'all, be realistic. My minivan, which I'm thankful to have, I may be back in that here pretty quick because Terry is moving to the new apartments. I may not be able to do that, which means I'll be back in my van, which I am so thankful to have, y'all. But I'm not kidding you. It is not easy to live in a little minivan where you have to be on your knees to wash up. You have to bend over. You have to lay down. You have to scrunch around. I mean, it's not easy, y'all, especially at this age. But I'm so thankful to have this van. It's all that is between me and the ground. And that's why I will always have a van unless somebody takes my car keys away from me. Now, y'all, that's enough for now. I guess I'll go in here and see this guy and get a letter for Hazel, just in case I'm blessed enough to move into these apartments. As I learn more, I will let y'all know. I love you, and do something fun today. Talk to you later. Bye.